And we're not gonna talk. Well, we're not gonna talk about football, or that's not gonna be our main course of the show. But guess what? This isn't a recent occurrence, but Kirk Cousins is still
Like it. I give him a A minus.
all right. And what about the Hawks?
They what they got in return is some good building blocks for depth. I mean, it's nothing that's gonna change their franchise for make them a playoff contender. Looks like they're in rebuild mode. If they let go a guy like Delonte Murray and getting some building blocks for their bench, it looks like they're rebuilding.
Now I know what direction we're going in. Okay, I would rather trade like this happen now than this trade happen at the trade deadline. Because like if that would have happened at the trade deadline, that could have messed some stuff up. So yeah, I'm extremely happy for the Pelicans. Name it's an A plus. Hawks, it's an F. Man, like I understand that they're trying to go in rebuild mode, but at least get a guy like Brandon Ingram. Look, I'm not saying the Pelicans should have got rid of Ingram in this trade, which I think the trade, like, if y'all would have got Ingram out of, at least gave y'all a C, but y'all got Dyson Daniels and freaking two guys that, like, Larry Nance, I mean, he's so-and-so, and EJ Liddell, I don't even think that man played for the Pelicans. And you got first-round picks, but those picks aren't just going to magically make you a great team, and DeJounte Murray, he's worth so much more than that. If I'm DeJounte, I would feel disrespected by the Hawks. Man, that was weird. But now let's talk about some stuff that happened around the NBA. We had the Pistons bring in their new head coach, JB Bickerstaff. He's on a 5-year contract, and Dad, how do you feel about this?
I don't like anything Detroit's doing right now. I don't understand what direction they're going in. I mean, they had a good young coach in Monty Williams, and they gave him like the worst roster in history, in basketball history. And you can't give a guy a second season. I mean, I don't know. It's not like he couldn't coach overnight or something. So just that alone, I don't know where this team
Like, for example, there's like 1 year, I believe like a couple years ago, the previous 5 NBA champions, like all their head coaches got fired, like in a single year. So I mean, the coaches are like from the Bucks. You got Nick Nurse from Toronto. Like they're all getting fired because your team's not doing feel about it.
Hey, Toby Toppin. I mean, sounds like a good chunk of change right there. I mean, as far as the Pacers go, I mean, I guess keeping your own players is a good thing. Um, you know, pairing him up with Halliburton, I think is still on the contract. So, I mean, I guess that's what they had to do.
Yeah, I like the deal. I think Obi Toppin broke out last year. He wasn't that great with the Knicks, but he came to the Pacers. I mean, he was playing solid basketball. He was that freak of nature type of guy that is, if he's in the paint, you better get out the way type of guys. So yeah, and all right, now the
You know what? Before
Lakers.
you start, I did a Stephen A. Smith just there. You saw that?
What?
I did a Stephen A. Smith there because I thought
Mm.
Obi Toppin was already on the Pacers, so they was keeping their own players. But no, you're right. He is from the Knicks because he's a young player on the bench that they didn't let walk. They didn't put him in a package deal to get some 40-year-old player. Like a Lakers thing to do. So yeah, I applaud this pick. Let's keep some young players now, Lakers. Let's keep some young players.
Thompson. Dad, how you feel about that?
Well, Chris Paul was due $30 million, and I guess they're trying to save some money to get a a big name in there since they're letting go of Clay also to pair with Steph Curry while he's still great. So I think it was what they had to do, and Chris Paul found himself going to San Antonio where he gets to mentor Big Wimby to see what they could do down there. So
Yep.
I like it from the Chris Paul standpoint. I mean, I don't know what Golden State's going to be this year. Sounds like they're going to be a dumpster fire, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Chris Paul, so I'm not gonna lie, I could care less what he does. Um, but yeah, the Warriors got rid of him. I think that was a good move. I still don't understand why they traded for him in the first place. I told people that he was not the same player. Like he was not 2021 Chris Paul, where it's either my way or the highway. Like this man, he's just getting like people want to call him the point god. I'm sorry, but
Here, it's funny how that happens, right? But
yeah, like I said, look, I'm not a big fan of Harden. Like, well, I won't say that. It's just that Harden. I feel like if you were going to get rid of Paul George, you should have got rid of Harden as well. I don't like the direction the Clippers are going. $8 million extension. How do you feel about the Love Miami train?
hey, if he can still play as a spot up shooter these days, I don't know how good of a overall player he is now, but you know, keeping your own in house, I guess, is that the way they go.
Yeah, I mean, Love. He's gotten better at 3 pointers. I think I'm pretty sure that's what he fans are saying. But hey Jerry, how you doing? But yeah, Kevin Love staying together. I think it's all right. All right, Jerry says, "Hey fellas, what's up, Jerry? Talking about some NBA basketball. Yeah, Celtics they re-signed Luke Cornett on a 1-year contract. Do you know who he is? No, you don't. Okay, good, because I don't know either. Jazz they waive Omer Yurtseven. Omer Yurtseven, I'm not gonna lie, I do. I kind of like him out. I kind of like him out of college, and I kind of like him in the NBA as well. Omer Yurtseven. I mean, they waived him. There's so much big men in free agency now. Man, how do you feel about the Yurtseven wave?
Who's that again?
Omer Yurtseven, he was a guy that got waived by the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, I really don't know who he is, but we do have breaking news coming across. Derek White, you know who he is?
Yeah.
He agrees to a 4-year contract with the Celtics, an extension.
Okay.
So keeping another one in house there. 4 years,
Yeah.
$125 million. Just say
Mm.
that, Mike. You say $1 million. Don't that sound good?
$1 million.
$125 million.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. 2 years ago, Derek White, if he would have got that contract 2 years ago, I would have called the Celtics insane because he was pissing me off 2 years ago, and I'm not even a Celtics fan, and he was pissing me off. But now,
Help on defense. I like what the 76ers are doing. They also, I know we're probably going to talk about this later, but signing some other players with, Paul George and Maxey agreeing to an extension. So I like what the Sixers are doing. They're trying to get better than Boston. I don't think they're there yet. I still think Boston's a class of that conference, but they're getting there. They're trying to get there.
yeah, Andre Drummond, I like the signing. I think this is their Paul Reed replacement. To come off the bench, get you maybe like 6 to 10 rebounds a game, and he's not gonna. That's all he's really gonna do. He's not that Detroit Drummond anymore. He's not that Brooklyn Drummond anymore. He's that Drummond that I'm here. Don't worry, I'm here. You'll hear my name at least a couple times. Now the Clippers signing former Houston Rockets point guard Kevin Porter Jr. to a 2-year contract. At least I'm pretty sure he was with Houston. I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure it was with Houston. Dad, how do you feel about Clippers adding Kevin Porter Jr.?
I think Clippers are trying to get the number 1 draft pick next year. That's what I think. I think they're hitching their wagon to James Harden, a crybaby, and giving away Paul George and signing these other little dudes. They ain't gonna do nothing. First pick of the draft, LA Clippers.
All right, well, I don't think that's the Clippers' decision. Shoot, the Pistons had like the worst record for the past 2 years, and they got fifth pick. That's what happens in Detroit for you. But yeah, Kevin Porter Jr. going to the Clippers. He's just going to be like a backup point guard to Harden. I doubt he plays any meaningful minutes. But now we have a bigger, like probably the biggest move so far that is at least the player that switches teams. The Orlando Magic signing former Denver Nuggets champion shooting guard Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He signed a 3-year, $66 million, and that includes a 2026 to 27 player option. How do you feel about KCP to Orlando?
I think he'll fit there good. He'll upgrade the roster a little bit. I mean, I'm not, shaking about this move. It doesn't really touch me in the ways that we need to be touched.
Yeah, I think this is the move that the Magic needed to make. Cause like they have a lot of young players, right? They need that one guy that I feel like that's why they couldn't beat Cleveland in Game 7 because they had a bunch of good players, but they needed that one guy that can shoot the ball and be like that veteran leadership. I feel like that's a great move for Orlando. That's the move that they needed to make. All right. Now we got another move where the Philadelphia 76ers are signing former Phoenix Sun shooting guard Eric Gordon. Dad, how do you feel about the contract or about the signing?
I like it. Give him another shooter.
The signing, Chris Paul to San Antonio.
Chris Paul is not the player he used to be. But he's still a good coach on the field when he's not in his feelings. Coach on the court. So I think he's going to help Wemby out. But is that going to make the Spurs a better team? A 40 or 50 win team, a playoff team? No. They need so much more help. They're in full rebuild mode, and they're not there yet.
Yeah, I don't like this signing very much. I think I've never liked Chris Paul. Well, I did at one point, but then he had to open his mouth about Alvarado. I don't care if you were in New Orleans. I don't care. He had to open his mouth about Alvarado because he was salty that Alvarado shut him down. So yeah, Chris Paul. I mean, he's in San Antonio. Great. But, no. Now we got a move that touched a lot of Pelicans fans yesterday. For the Washington Wizards signing former Pelicans center, big man, whatever you want to call him, Jonas Valanciunas, to a 3-year, $30 million contract. Dad, how do you feel about Jonas Valanciunas to Washington?
I didn't want Jonas to leave, but looking back at it, I could have taken it or leave it. I mean, now you're still looking at holding on to Brandon Ingram. Maybe you can get another big man in a trade for him, and then you can have a lineup of the guy you bring in and Zion and Delonte, and you have a pretty good offensive lineup, the starting lineup. So I don't know. We'll just see what the Pelicans want to do at the big man.
Yeah, look, I've been on record to say this. Jonas, he was a good player. It's just that there was countless times where like he wasn't even playable in like the playoffs. So there was a countless games against OKC where he had to sit out most of the game because he just wasn't as dominant. Like we didn't ask him to be dominant, but he just wasn't as good against the powerhouse centers like Chet Holmgren, like Anthony Davis. So this kind of like that's what his problem was. He could body like a 6'6" center that is like a decent player, but against a guy like Davis, Embiid, Giannis, like the big powerful people. Like I'm sorry, Jonas he kept losing those matchups. So I'm not too worried. I'm not gonna lose sleep over us losing Jonas. It sucks to see him go, but ever since we traded away Anthony Davis, we've never had like a reliable center to count on. We had Steven Adams for a year, then we traded him away for Jonas, and now hey, we got Wives Missy, so maybe he'll play center. Maybe we'll put Zion at the 5. Maybe we will maybe we'll trade for somebody, sign somebody. I don't know. Now the Phoenix Suns are signing for.
A lot of work to do in Phoenix.
Yeah, look, Mason Plumlee, he's a solid center, but for Phoenix, he's gonna be like another DeAndre Ayton. But now we got another move that touched a lot of Pelicans fans yesterday, where Dallas Mavericks are signing former New Orleans Pelican small forward Najee Marshall to a 3-year. They didn't have the depth. I feel like not going Najee Marshall. It's like I like Najee. It sucks to see him go, but why Dallas? I don't like the Mavericks. I did like the Mavericks going into the year, but then some of their fans, especially this one in particular dude, kept getting cocky, and now they got Najee Marshall. So yeah, it kind of sucks. Next up, the Clippers signing former Mavericks small forward, and this might be why the Mavericks got Najee, as they're signing former Mavericks small forward Derrick Jones Jr. on a 3-year, $30 million contract, and that includes a 2025. Or no, that includes. Well, no, per report, this includes 5% trade bonus. So, Dad, how do you feel about Derrick Jones Jr. to Los Angeles?
Um, I don't feel touched by that one. Maybe it might improve the roster, maybe not. Would it improve a lot of wins? Probably not. So
Yeah,
I give it a D.
yeah, I think this will help, like with like shooting splits. I think Derrick Jones Jr. is a solid shooter. But other than that, like he's just like a guy that's gonna give you like maybe 8 and 6. Like he's not gonna be that 30 point per game scorer. So yeah. And now the 76ers made 3 moves that we're about to get to. First move is um they extended Kelly Oubre Jr. on a 2-year, $16.3 million, which also includes a 2025 to 26 player option. Dad, how do you feel about Kelly Oubre Jr. back to Philadelphia?
Hey, trying to get to Boston, so got to keep our players in house. Got to add to it, and so I really like what the Sixers are doing. And so I guess he was a key guy to keep in the fold, depth
Yeah, I
wise.
think that was a solid move. He's like a solid shooter. I know.
The Sixers are going to be tough to handle. I mean, you have Embiid there that's already a 30 or 40 point scorer. Now you put another guy that can get you 30 points a night. And if he's healthy, it makes him very dangerous.
Yeah, I think this move. I think the problem with this though, I wouldn't have paid him this much money. But to be fair, these contracts are out of hand, so you gotta do what you gotta do, as they say. And then they also extended point guard Tyrese Maxey on a 5-year, 203 point.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't have nothing else to add to that.
yeah. I think those are like key role players, that are coming off the bench. I just don't understand why teams are paying these players like they're 10-time All Stars. Like 4 years, 48 million for Isaiah Joe. You got 5 years, 47 million for Aaron Wiggins. Man, get out of here. The Chicago Bulls are signing former Indiana Pacer power forward Jalen Smith to a 3-year, $27 million contract. Dad, how do you feel about Jalen Smith going to Chicago?
Who else is going to Chicago? I don't know what the Bulls are doing. I guess they figured this guy's gonna help upgrade their team. We'll see, but they still need a lot of work.
Yeah, Jalen Smith, I think it's a solid signing. He's a guy that can play defense, maybe hit a couple threes from here and there. Then he won't lock down your best player, but he can lock down almost anybody in the paint. Yeah. But now we got one of the probably like the biggest move that happened today, or at least one of them. Well, if you don't count the 3 a.m. stuff, where the Oklahoma City Thunder are signing former New York Knicks center Isaiah Hartenstein to a 3-year, $87 million contract. Dan, how do you feel about Isaiah Hartenstein to OKC?
I didn't know who this guy was before I heard him signing, but I mean, the Oklahoma City Thunder was the number one team in the West last year, and any addition to make them
Power forward, a guy that the 76ers chose to buy is over me, aka Jimmy Butler. But yeah, they chose Pistons signed Tobias Harris to a 2-year, $52 million contract. Dad, how do you feel about Tobias Harris to Detroit?
That's a good pickup for Detroit. I just don't know what else the team is doing. I mean, they got a new coach. Now they got Tobias Harris. They let go of Drummond. Well, they've been let go of Drummond. Yeah, I don't know how many games they've planned to win this year, or if they're tanking
Maybe like
again for
6, 7.
maybe they're tanking again for another lottery pick. Who knows?
Yeah. Tobias Harris, he's a solid pickup. That's a guy, he can shoot. Like, Tobias Harris, she's a solid pickup. And now, last couple moves, the Utah Jazz are signing former Sun center Drew Eubanks to a 2-year, $10 million in the contract. Dad, how do you feel about this move?
I don't really know him. I don't know his game. I mean, he's a center, so I guess he's a big man. Needs to, help him out on the boards and defensive rebounding. But other than that, go ahead, Suns. Get you big man. Get
Yeah,
you a big man.
yeah, man. Drew Eubanks, he's gonna be a solid backup center to Walker Kessler. So Eubanks, yeah, he's solid. And the last move, hold on, let me after this move, I'm gonna refresh the page, see if anything else happened there. Quite. Well, the Timberwolves, they signed Luka Garza to 2-year contract. Do you know what that is? You don't?
Nope.
Okay, good. I don't either. I'm about to refresh the page to see if anything else has happened while we're on the show.
Fast and
Uh,
Furious.
yeah. But how do you feel about the Celtics paying Derek White?
Hey, keep him in house. Keep that depth. Make another run for the championship.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's gonna end the show today. Dad, where can they find you?
You can find me on Warren Newby YouTube page. Hit that subscribe button. And I'm on the Hurricane Mike show every week, talking NBA, talking NFL, talking all kind of sports. We're gonna be getting into some baseball.
Okay.
Come on, baseball.
All right. Yeah, we might. All right, but yeah, so that's gonna end this show, folks. You can always find me here at Hurricane Mike, and don't forget, it's still what?
It's the what?
It's the what?
It's the Pelicans. No.
It's Go Pales, and I am out of here. See y'all
Go
later.
Pels.